Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Moving Picture Massacre. This is episode 11. We had a little decent gap between 10 and 11, but life gets in the way, things happen. But we're excited to be back because we watched a movie that we hadn't seen before. And hopefully you guys went out and took a look at it beforehand. But I'll let Matt tell you exactly what that movie is. So if you haven't seen it yet, you can pause this and go watch the movie. Matt, what did we watch this week?
All right, so this is a sequel to a movie that probably a lot of people that like horror movies have seen, and it is The Fly 2. The Fly 1, obviously, it's got Jeff Goldblum in it and Gina Davis, right? And it's a Cronenberg movie. So you kind of get the idea that there's a lot of like body horror and stuff in it. There's a lot of good effects. And watching this movie, I was going to be kind of scared that it wasn't going to hold up. I'm not going to, spoil anything right now, but I actually really did enjoy this movie. I thought it held up well. But this is a direct sequel to The Fly 1. This has Eric Stoltz in it. And then the girl's name that is in it is Daphne, is it Zuniga? I can't pronounce her last name. Those are the two notable characters from this movie that I recognized off the top of my head. But anyways, it's a direct sequel, and the story takes place with Jeff Goldblum's son. So his name was Seth Brundle in the first movie. This one is Martin Brundle. And the story is about the son that he has with Gina Davis's character in the first movie. It's really good. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna read the back of the box here. Bear with me. I'm losing my voice as we speak. But it says, on the surface, Martin seems a normal, healthy young man, but beneath his ordinary exterior, Martin is the most extraordinary person alive. For one thing, he's a genius. For another, he's a fully matured adult. Though only 5 years old, but most extraordinarily of all, Martin is the son of a human fly, a scientist whose genes were tragically altered in an experiment mashup. Or, yeah, I think it's supposed to say mashup. It says Mish app on mine. I don't know if that's right or wrong.
Mishap.
Um, oh, shoot. Yeah. Yeah. I cannot read, apparently. I like mishap anyways. Or, or mashup. I think mashup would have fit better. But anyways, I digress. And now it's only a matter of time before the mutant genes inside Martin come out of their dormant state. Eric Stoltz is Martin, a young man about to suffer the most horrifying transformation ever experienced by a human being. Daphne Zuniga is Beth, a computer technician who becomes Martin's only support in his struggle to save himself from a fate truly worse than death. Packed with stunning special effects, The Fly 2 is a terrifying sequel that rivals its predecessors in suspense as well as imagination. It's kind of hard to read this with this Mylar thing on here. And that is a lot that they put on the back. So, well, we've had movies on here before where you get like half a sentence or maybe nothing at all. And then you get something like that is like a straight up novel on the back of this. But yeah, this is an Eric Stoltz movie. I enjoyed it. Tom, where you want to go from here with this movie review?
We'll just talk a little bit about what we thought about the movie overall, and we'll kind of go from there, break down kind of what happens in the movie just a little bit, and then if there's anything glaring that we liked or disliked, and reasons why you should or should not watch this movie, which realistically, just watch everything and be mad at us afterwards if it wasted your time.
Yeah.
Ricky, what did you think about this movie overall, if you just had to summarize just your thoughts?
Well, I went in with low expectations. I knew, of course, no Jeff Goldblum, no Cronenberg. I was like, oh, it's probably going to be just somebody trying to mimic what they do and fail miserably. I was pleasantly surprised. It wasn't that bad. There was some stuff in the movie that I definitely could have done without. There was some stuff in the movie that I absolutely loved. But overall, way better than I thought it was going to be. To start out, Matt, what did you really like about it?
Honestly, just carrying over from the first Fly movie, I really enjoyed the special effects in this movie. They do a lot of practical effects in it. So is there any CGI in this that you guys noticed? I think it's, for the most part, pretty straightforward. It's all like practical effects. Another thing I kind of wanted to add to this, and I don't know, maybe this movie just speaks to me through the writers, but Mick Garris is one of the writers on this, and he wrote one of my favorite movies of all time when I was a kid, and it's Critters too. So seeing that, it's not a surprise that I enjoyed this movie. And a lot of people, I mean, you probably are thinking, oh, a gross movie like this or Critters. I probably never watched a Mick Garris movie, but everyone likes Hocus Pocus, and Mick Garris is the writer on Hocus Pocus as well. So there's, a Mick Garris movie out there for everyone, I'm sure. But I enjoyed that with the writing in this too. I was surprised by that. But yeah, the biggest standout, definitely the effects in this, I think. Um, Story was good too. I don't think there's really anything to complain about as far as being a direct sequel. Story held up really well. Um, yeah, I thought it paced well as well. So, Tom?
Yeah, I enjoyed it overall. Again, I was in the same boat that Ricky was in, where we just kind of assumed the absolute worst going into this, knowing what we did know with Jeff Goldblum and Cronenberg and that kind of thing. I did know that Mick Garris had a hand in writing this movie, so that did give me a little bit of hope as well, because yes, Critters 2 is freaking fantastic. Sleepwalkers is pretty great too. Excuse me. I never finished The Stand. He did the Stand TV series, and I never finished that. I feel like I should go back and revisit that guy. You got it up there? Perfect. Yeah. But yeah, overall, I liked it. The biggest thing that I had a problem with was, I don't know if it's just the version I have or what it is. I watched the Blu-ray, in all honesty. I know this is a VHS review show, but Matt found the VHS, so that's where we went. But I watched the Blu-ray copy that I had, and the dialogue was very quiet compared to everything else. Excuse me. The dialogue was super quiet compared to all the special effects, compared to any music or anything that was going on. My TV was turned up super, super loud just so I could hear what the heck they were talking about. And what they were talking about was fine. You could take it or leave it. Knowing the first movie, you have the biggest idea of what's happening. Jeff Goldblum had a child at the very end of the movie. Gina Davis is pregnant. The very beginning of this movie, she is in the hospital giving birth to that baby, like instantly. The only problem is it's not Gina Davis. Apparently, she did not want to do a birth scene, because I guess the birth scene in the first movie, the dream that she had with all the maggots and stuff, left her kind of messed up in the head a little bit, left her a little scarred. And so when they told her, hey, this is what's happening at the beginning of the next movie, we want you to do it, she was like, I will not do a scene. And so they unfortunately recast her, but they recast her with someone who's pretty darn close when it comes to looks. She was, I think, 10 years younger than Gina Davis, but Gina Davis is also a priceless human being, so age means nothing. But that was the only kind of bummer. But again, if you weren't paying super close attention or watching the two movies back to back, it's hard to notice. She does look pretty similar. Excuse me, my throat is just messed up, and I'm not even the sick one in the group today. The special effects were super great whenever they were there. There was, sometimes we had some lulls and things like that. But again, in the first one, there was a build up to it as well. So it's not surprising that you're going to get the big act at the end of the movie. We got the full Fly transformation at the end of the movie, and some of the coolest special effects I've seen in a long time, in all honesty. There's one specific one, I won't go to it yet, one specific one that I enjoyed a lot, that I think is honestly top 5 of this thing happening. It's up there. It is up there in the most coolest version ever. Anyways, Ricky, going over the movie, the birth happens right in the beginning. We get into the child growing up into an adult in the first 15 minutes due to his rapid aging. Did you get screwed up as much about his dog friend as I did, because that section of the movie tore me up compared to the rest of it. I understand people have connections with other people, but hell, watching him have to put down this dog that he loved that was screwed up by being used as a test subject was awful to me. How was it for you?
That is the first note that I wrote on my little notebook, was the dog scene. Broke my heart. uh, it was tough. And my dog is back there sleeping on the couch right now. But I do love how at the end, after his emergence from the cocoon, when he turns into the fly monster, that he still had compassion for the dogs. That Rottweiler's chasing after him, trying to hunt him down, and he just reaches down with his little fly hand and starts petting the dog. I was like, good. He's still got his heart's still in there. He's still got compassion for the dog. Thank you. And the biggest satisfaction from the entire movie was Bartok at the end. Of course, as you all know, if you've watched our show before, we don't avoid spoilers. These movies have been out for 30, 40 years. Deal with it. But he ends up in the exact same predicament that he left that dog in. He's locked in a cage, being fed a little trough of slop, it looked like. And that's just how the movie ended. And I thought it was fantastic. He got what he deserved. I'm not going to say what you mentioned in the last one, because I already know exactly where you're going with it. So I'm going to leave that for you. I know where you're going with it. Instead, I'm going to go to something that I absolutely despise from this movie. And before I jump into that, I'm going to give a little bit of context first. So, hypothetical scenario here. There's a woman, beautiful, fully developed, just smart as can be, everything. But she's 12 years old. Is it appropriate to pursue a relationship with that 12-year-old? No, it's not. In this movie, this Martin Brundle has an advanced aging genetic thing, but he's fucking 5 years old. And when he goes to the house of the former assistant of his father, the bearded guy that lost his hand, all that stuff, when he goes to his house, he's like, wow, you've grown a lot in 5 years. Or he says something like, you look good for a 5-year-old or something like that. And his little romantic interest doesn't even bat an eye. That is a 5-year-old child. There should have been no romance at all. I don't care if he's fully developed. Back to my comparison. Irrelevant. 5 years old. I hated it. There needed to be no romance. I don't care if he looks, acts, has the brain of an adult. No, doesn't matter. I hate it. If that was a female character that was 5 years old, no, it's not okay. Double standard.
Was it only not okay because the love interest ends up actually having sex with this person, or is just the pursuit of a love interest at that age what bothered you?
It's kind of all of it. It reminded me a lot of the movie The Goods, which, if you have not seen that, it is hilarious. Go watch it. But Catherine Hahn's character, when she's trying to hit on Rob Riggle's character, who is a 10-year-old boy that has fully developed into a grown man. And all of her friends are like, no, he's 10 years old. Stop it. I hated it. There shouldn't have been any romance with a 5-year-old boy. I don't care how. No.
It is hard because they do. I feel like they do a pretty good job between the two of them building up that romance, because they're working together. They're working in the same building. They meet each other and they start having lunches together because they both work nights. They do these cute little dances in their their laboratories or whatever it's called. And I thought it was cute. But again, yeah, if you sit and think about it, it's kind of disgusting on her part for pursuing such a, person. And she knows it. She knows it from the beginning. right after they meet, she finds out who he is and that kind of thing pretty quickly after. So yeah, that's her choice to just keep on rolling with it.
Yeah, back it just goes right back to my comparison, like my hypothetical scenario. 12-year-old girl hits puberty super early. She's fully developed. She's a child prodigy, super brilliant. Is it okay? No, it's not. Anyway, I'm done with this. Matt, was there anything you really disliked?
Nothing that hasn't been mentioned. I don't really think there was a lot of stuff that I hated about the movie that I can think of. The dog story was sad. It was very sad. I think it did add to the story though. Going on, like you said, he was aware enough as the Fly to, not do that to another animal. And I think it goes further. Like it's one of those clues, like when you're watching the movie, that he's aware enough that there's more going on at the end than what you think. Like when he drags the guy in, he's not just a beast that's out of control, just killing people. Like he knows exactly what he's doing. He has a plan, and then at the end you see that, and then you start putting those pieces together. And I think him stopping to pet the dog is one of those pieces. Like if you pick it up, you're like, yeah, he knew, like he knew exactly what he was doing the whole time, and that's how the end of the story happens with the whole transferring genes scene when he pulls him in and then swaps his fly genes with the guy who has the normal human genes. Very cool ending. Anyways, I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was going to end kind of like similar how Jeff Goldblum ending, where they shoot him, they blow him up or whatever, he dies. And they did it different, and I appreciate that. Other than that, not really. I just kind of like a thing that made me kind of disgusted was also at the end of the movie when he's covered in all of that crap, and she like slowly starts leaning in. You're like, is she gonna kiss him right now? Like that's disgusting. No way it's gonna happen. And then she does kiss him, and it's like a long kiss, and you're like, ew, that is gross.
He literally just like came out of that guy's butt, like realistically, and she just wiped all of his like extra skin off and still kissed him.
No, it was still there. It was she removed enough that you could see like it was him. Like, oh yeah, he's human again. He's not a fly. But all the fly bits that he's cracking out of, all still there. And she just full on just kissed him, and it was like, ew. I didn't like that.
That's fair. That's understandable. The thing I was bummed out, I would say, the most was the most crappy person I feel in the whole movie. Not the main guy who ran the place. Yeah, he's a big wig scientist shit pig, that's just there for money and that kind of thing. So he sucks. But there's a specific security guard that is just an asshole to every single person in that movie. And he ends up showing the sex tape to the love interest, letting her know that she's been watched this whole time and telling her she's moved to a new facility. And he's just a dick the entire time. And he has the most basic, boring kill out of anyone else in this movie. The Fly finally gets to him and just slowly kind of breaks his back and just lays him on the ground. What is that? Why would you only do that? Literally, the guy that dies before is my favorite death of the entire thing. Well, there's two that are really good, but I think my favorite one is a man falls underneath an elevator that accidentally gets started and it starts coming down. Why he couldn't get up and run out of the elevator shaft makes no sense to me at all. It was like Brad Dourif in that Trauma movie where he just laid there and watched the elevator come down on his face to cut his head off. I'm like, we just saw this, I swear to God. So that guy's laying there and he's trying to get up slowly but surely and starts crawling out to where his head gets to the very edge of that elevator and it crushes his head. And I'll tell you, we've got Scanners, we've got Maniac, we've got Shopping Mall. It's some of the best head explosions I have ever seen in cinema. And this is right up there. It was beautiful. It was a total real looking head. It wasn't some melon with a wig. I'm looking at you, Trauma. It wasn't. It didn't look like a fake head at all. It just blew up with blood and some little particles. And oh my god, it was. If you watch this movie for literally anything, watch it for that head crush because it was amazing. There's another head gross thing that happens. I'll let someone else talk about that. That's also very beautiful. It is a very BioCop feeling to it, even though that came out way later, obviously. But that head crush was honestly my favorite part of the movie. I vocally yelled out loud in the living room, sitting there by myself with my dog watching this movie earlier today. And it was great. Again, it made me laugh because he was so slow trying to get out of that elevator. I'm like, this is ridiculous. What are you doing? Like, come on, this cat, come on. I sat there and I'm like, if I was in there, I would do so much to get out of that elevator. It paid off so much. I appreciate it a ton. So, Ricky, what was your favorite part? I know there was tons of good special effects, and I know that one is a fantastic one. So tell us about it.
Well, the one you left open, I mean, after he turns into the fly and he vomits on the guy's face, and the guy's face just peels away, fantastic. They did such a great job with the effects on that as he just peels all the flesh and you can see the bone. Great. Loved it. All of the effects were really well done in this movie. When he's coming out of the cocoon and it just kind of cracks open and it looks like Bavarian cream's just falling out of it. They did really well with all the effects. And I mean, that's one thing we love here is 80s practical effects. We will do anything for a good movie with some practical effects. CGI, you can have that. Give us the practical any day. Matt, did you have any final thoughts? Because I think we've pretty much summed all this up. Did you have any final thoughts before we jump into a rating?
I don't really have a whole lot of final thoughts on it. I like you said though, like the practical effects in this are top tier. Those two kills, specifically the elevator and then the fly vomit, which I was kind of wondering, like, when is that going to happen? Because a lot of he's just been killing people with brute force. Like he threw that one doctor at that door. I think I laughed out loud at that. It was awesome. That guy like opened the door and you see him dragging him, and he's just like, yeah, and just throws him. That was funny. But the vomit scene, like, you don't know how graphic they're gonna go with it because it hits him, and then you just see it on him, and you're like, oh well, what is this gonna look like? And then it flips back, and it's just like they just peel like all the face off of him, and it's just nasty, and it was awesome. The elevator scene was really, really good too. I didn't know if we were gonna get a head crush or if we were gonna get, because that elevator was like steel grate. And I didn't know if it was going to lower and we were going to see like the guts and stuff come through the grates back up. I was like, that would be sick if they do that. Either way, fantastic though. Like you said, that was head explosions. That one's top tier for sure. But yeah, I really don't have a whole lot to add. It's just a good movie. Good effects. Eric Stoltz is in it. Basically the rip off to Michael J. Fox back in the 80s. So, if you're into Eric Stoltz movies, this is one that you definitely want to see, I think. There's probably nothing like it that he's done other than this.
Didn't he actually like try out for Back to the Future and didn't get it over Michael J. Fox? Okay.
Yeah, they were going to pick him, I think, before Michael J. Fox. So
think of this movie with Michael J. Fox instead.
I'd still watch it.
I'd still watch it. I think it's hard to not picture what someone else has already done, because I would always go back to the Future thinking of Michael J. Fox. You know what I mean? But I wonder how it would be if he never did that, and he did this, and ended up on a weird
think of Michael J. Fox
movie.
Think of Michael J. Fox from Frighteners doing this movie.
There you go.
Yeah. I think he does weird, eerie movies sometimes. I think he could do it. I think it'd be fine.
That's true. If you just throw Jeffrey Combs in them, just like Frighteners, I'd be happy every time.
He's that one doctor, the male doctor.
Yeah.
That was another thing. That girl doctor, that she pissed me off the whole movie. She was like, she was a
It was
bitch.
awful.
Yeah. And that one guy asked her, like, at the beginning of the movie, like, do you have feelings for him? And you're kind of like, oh, well, maybe she's going to take on that motherly role. No, she was terrible the whole movie. So I loved when she got hers. So, yeah, good stuff. Are we rating this now? Who wants to start it?
I think you should start it. You're right there. This was your
Oh.
choice. I want to know what you have to think. Out of 5 stars, right? It's been a while and I can't even remember. But yeah, we'll go for it. Tell us
That
out
was
of
my
5
next
stars,
question.
Matt, what you thought about this movie.
Oh man, I'm gonna rate it high. I enjoyed it as far as direct sequels go, especially in horror movies, because a lot of times you get a movie like The Fly, you're gonna get a movie after it that goes like directly to DVD. I think. I'm gonna give this like a 4. I thought it was good. I thought you didn't get that made for TV budget where you got crappy effects. The story was still good. They went out and got a named, actor in Eric Stoltz. And overall, like effects and everything, it was just good. It was just a good movie. I enjoyed it. I give it a 4, solid 4. Ricky, what do you think?
I'm gonna go with 3.5. Practical effects were fantastic. I mean, I'd put it right up there with the best of them. But that the whole romance angle took away a lot for me. I mean, as much as I hated the dog scene at the beginning, it did add a lot to the character development of Martin. But so we have to accept that for character development in the film. But yeah, the romance just took away a little too much for me. So I'm gonna 3.5 works for me. Tom, what you got?
I'm right there with you. I wouldn't say the romance took it down for me in like specifically. I caught myself during some of the talking parts, and this may that sounds stupid to say, but this may be because I was having like my audio issues there, to where the dialogue was so quiet. But when he was talking to the love interest, a lot of the time it lost me for most of it. I wouldn't say most of it, but a lot of it, just because I couldn't quite hear what they were talking about. So I wasn't as invested as I feel like I should have been. I didn't care as much about what they were doing. I was just kind of waiting for something else to happen. And as soon as, his arm started to look infected and he started to change in his face, then I got a little more excited about it. And again, it's not because the movie itself was boring in any way, but I just couldn't quite get excited about what they were talking about because I was trying to focus so hard. And I don't know, again, if that was the copy I had or what it was, but that took it down for me a little bit. The special effects in general, like we said, all the practical stuff is really awesome. It's great to see that. We will watch one of those movies all day long. And because of that, I'm right there with you, Ricky, with a 3.5 for my rating. I did enjoy the movie. It's definitely not the best movie we've ever seen. It's far from the worst movie we've ever seen, but I enjoyed what I got to see. And I would show other people this movie. I would tell them to watch it. I'm telling you guys now, listening to this, to go ahead and watch it. Watch them back to back. I would like to get that reaction out of people. I wanted to do that and I ran out of time. I knew this was a direct sequel, going right into the child that was mentioned in the first movie. I knew that much about it. That was as far as my knowledge went, outside of, knowing who was in it. So I would love to watch them back to back. My girlfriend's never seen either, so I may go back and do that. May do the first and the second, just to see what her reaction is out of that. But anyways, 3.5 stars for me as well. So Everybody, we have 2 more movies in season 2. I know we're still on season 2. I'm sorry we take long breaks. We have lives, and we just do this because we like to hang out with each other. So I've got this little lovely guy here ready to show which movie we're going to watch next. I would say next week, but we know that's a lie. So we have 2 movies left, and I'm going to let it roll. Both of these are Ricky's picks of movies. And we're going to watch Hangman's Curse, which Ricky thinks is going to be the worst movie we have watched all season. Ricky, tell us about Hangman's Curse.
Okay, the tagline on the front says, "Watch your locker, watch your back, watch your soul." It does have a little short synopsis on the back, so I'm going to go ahead and read that now. Within the shadowed corridors of Rogers High, something terrible has been unleashed. As fear escalates, a family of investigators goes undercover only to discover you cannot destroy what you cannot find. As students are claimed by a deadly power, Nate and Sarah Springfield and their 2 teenage children race to protect the student body from the mysterious forces around them and from their own prejudices.
From their own prejudices?
That's what it says.
I feel like we're going to get a very preachy movie from the early 2000s on our hands here.
Yeah, and I feel like this is going to be a very, very bad version of a movie that came out about 9-10 years ago, called The Gallows. It's a very similar synopsis as far as being like a high school and with the whole noose and everything. The Gallows, I mean, it wasn't great. I mean, don't you don't have to go back and watch it. I'm already going to apologize for us having to watch this. But at least I can say our season 2 finale will be better than that one.
Well, thank you, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. We will see. Who knows? Maybe this will be a laugh loud riot of a movie, and it'll be very exciting to watch. I'll tell you that Dark Wolf was a very funny movie to me, and that other vampire movie, was it Curse of the Vampire? What was that?
Angel of the Night.
Angel of the Night.
Yeah. See, I was very off of that name. I loved that movie. That movie was hilarious to me. So hopefully this one will be there. I have a feeling early 2000s we're going to get a lot of bad CGI that they didn't have enough money for, but didn't want to spend money on practical effects. Who knows? I'm just making assumptions. But anyways, yes, Ricky.
I got one more thing. One of the main reasons for our quite lengthy hiatus, I just wanted to take a second to say, Matt, congratulations on fatherhood, bud.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a trip. 6 months so far. So he's about to be mobile. He was watching part of The Fly with me. So he was crying. I went and got him, and then he was like, what is going on this TV right now? So yeah, I'm going to have a little monster movie, buddy. It's going to be good times. Yeah.
Start him young.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Congrats, bud.
Thank you. I'm coughing a bunch over here right now.
Don't die on us. Don't die on us. We just started back up.
I know.
Thank you all for watching this movie or watching this episode. And if you haven't watched the movie, then we just ruined 90% of it for you. Yep. So do yourself a favor and track down this Hangman's Curse if you can. We have no idea if it's streaming anywhere. Matt and I may need to buy our own VHS copies just to watch this pile of garbage. And, join us here on this channel. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out when we post the Hangman's Curse episode and talk about how amazing of a movie it is, because I'm sure we will. Thank you guys so much for being here, and we'll see you next time.